All right, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the podcast here at Tomboy Official. I'm talking kind of quiet because I'm at my usual record spot outdoors, but it's hot and I've got my windows open. And on that topic of heat and just hot weather, a lot of times with that comes, the need for maybe some shorter clothing, some shorts, some tank tops, things like that. Um, but for people who consider themselves maybe tomboys or maybe masculine presenting females or androgynous or um, non-binary, a lot of people sometimes and there's nothing wrong with it, but a lot of times people might want to hide certain features or not have certain prominent features um, very readily on display. So, yeah, we can have like a bit of a real talk here when it comes to things like body image, things like clothing shapes, and hot weather, the heat. Um, Welcome to, depending where you live, but welcome to the first day of the world reopening, I guess, here in California. Things are going to be potentially today, June 15th of 2021. Things are opening more than they may have been since March of 2020. So, a lot of places don't require a mask if you are vaccinated. A lot of places, there might be some clubs starting to open up. What I saw up in LA, it looks like there's some clubs with some live performances available now. I don't know how it is everywhere because I was literally working all day and I saw some footage from the Abbey when I woke up this morning and I was like, oh shoot, we're back. So happy to hear that. But, with that, as well as the changes in weather, a lot of us are experiencing a heat wave pretty much across the nation in the U.S. I don't know of too many places that aren't warming up right now. But, Southern California, we're still lucky. I mean, I'm sitting in the car, hot car. I don't really have AC. I have a fan that's like blasting warm air at me on level 2 of 4. I'm sitting in the shade. One window on the one closest to me is cracked. The other window's fully open. But my car is even melting. I just wanted some form of privacy recording because I'm literally right next to a bus stop and in a parking lot full of people. So, I don't really truly like recording this kind of stuff in public, but that's what's happening today, guys. I was debating. I was like, I parked and I was like, no way. There's no way I'm gonna record. No freaking way I'm gonna record today. Because I usually do it with my windows up, and I was in someone else was in my normal or next to my normal spot, so I didn't want to park next to them because I was like, I'm gonna need the windows down a little. So I parked a couple spots away, and the sun was still hitting. So I was like, man, I can't do this with the sun hitting. And then, maybe I was annoying because I still had my music blasting at that point, so they probably moved over. I'm not sure if that was exactly why they moved, but they moved. And then I was like, yes. So I just like swooped in and got my favorite spot in the corner right in the shade. So this time of year, um, this spot's perfect because there's shade. I get off work at 4, so I run errands right away, and then the spot's usually available because the site where I record at closes at 5. So most of the time the customers aren't even here, just some workers walking around on occasion. So there's usually like almost no one parked here, or everyone's pretty much trying to leave by the time I get here around 4:30. So um or 5 or whatever. I think it was like 5ish today. But I'm glad to be able to maybe talk about this topic. I haven't thought too much into it. I was just like, what's something that's pretty relevant that feels relevant because it was literally a thought that I had. I was like, man, I've got a tank top on under this t-shirt, and I'd really like to not be wearing either one, to be honest with you. But I mean, societal rules. If you've got certain body parts on your chest, you kind of gotta keep your shirt on, I guess. So I don't know. That's how that works. Um, but yeah. So let's talk about that though, because it's something that's probably gonna come up for a lot of people. Because we've talked a bit before about dysphoria, about discomforts, anxieties, stressors related to the physical body. Um, there's a lot of times like an emotional component to that. A lot of maybe even body hatred, body maybe not taking care of oneself because of these types of things, or avoiding certain events, you avoiding certain parts of life because of it. And when the weather shifts, it's one thing to, be able to bundle up and wear more layers, because then if there's something that you would prefer to hide or not to show, you can kind of do a little more, you know, cloak yourself a bit more with heavier clothing. But when it comes to lighter clothing, you can't really do that. If you have sheer clothing that when the wind's blowing, it's like hitting you, and like, there might, some people don't like their shape. If they're rounder or curvier or have different, prominent body parts like hips or, bigger butt or bigger waist or bigger breasts, or, if they have fat in certain areas like tummy fat, or if they just feel like, the clothing that is usually supposedly what society says is supposed to, that you're supposed to wear because you were born with whatever genitalia you were born with, which I mean, it's clothing. Who really cares? I mean, people care, right? But who really cares, right? It's a piece of cloth that's shaped in a certain way, and then somehow there are rules that certain people with this genitalia can only wear this kind, and people with that genitalia can only wear that kind. And that's where a lot of people's kind of rigid thinking comes in, and a lot of us are brought up like that. So but then what happens when naturally your natural inclinations don't really fit into that box? Then you're kind of forced to have this discomfort with your own, self, because of what society pressures you to kind of feel like you need to do, or you don't want to be ridiculed or looked at weird, or, told that you can't do certain things, or people just commenting and just creating very uncomfortable environments. So a couple things I would recommend. First of all, if there's something that you're uncomfortable about, you can always see what you can do to work on it. I mean, if it's a matter of, exercising, eating healthier, that comes with time, of course, and maybe by this time a lot of people haven't quite met their fitness goals, and I know around May, the month of May, people start pumping it, and they're like, yeah, I want to get in shape for beach body season. And if you didn't quite make it for beach body season, which is all now, if you haven't quite gotten there by the deadline, by the time the heat kicks in, you're kind of stuck feeling uncomfortable sometimes. But honestly, there's no reason to feel uncomfortable in general. When you look at society, especially if you live in the US, I mean, most people tend to be kind of overweight. I mean, if you live in like a coastal city, if you live in like Florida, if you live in, California and a lot of places, a lot of us in these areas are used to constant sun most of the year round. And there is kind of more of that pressure to have, like I've mentioned this before, I often wear shorts like almost all year long, like literally. Even when it's winter and it's like 50 degrees or something, it's like that's about as cold as it's gonna get when I'm actually awake and outdoors. I'll wear shorts. Like, I don't really care. Like, it takes a lot for me to put on a jacket, and it takes a whole lot more for me to put on like jeans and like sweats and things. So, yeah, so there's that. But Yeah, I would just say one main thing, you know, is, if you do live in the US, you might be a little bit on the luckier side because there is that pressure to have like a certain weight and everything, but most people are pretty overweight anyways. And so unlike, certain cultures, like different like Asian cultures, I know I have a lot of friends from different Asian cultures that are like very intensely, concerned about their weight, and even what we would consider here as like in shape, they kind of don't go for that. Even like they prefer like this slim look, this like really kind of thin. um I don't know, everyone has their own ideas of attraction, right? And so that is what kind of gets complex. But the way I like to think is, what's comfortable for you is going to show. So if your body isn't looking fit, or if you're feeling some flabs in certain areas, if it's nothing you can healthily fix, healthy with the key word there, you want to be able to fix it in a healthy way. You don't want to be like starving yourself. You don't want to be spending too much money doing things that are like maybe not good for you. I mean, I can't tell anybody do or don't get surgical procedures, because I mean, at least, there's hopefully like a very trained professional that's, like looking at your health and like doing what's best for you. They're not hopefully going to do things that aren't good for your body. So I would hope, if people do take extreme types of measures, that they would consult professionals about these things. Um, I mean, who am I to say what you can and cannot do? But I mean, I really do tend to, value health for myself and other people. It's not just about me. We're all a community here. So a lot of times people want to get where they plan to get, but it just seems hopeless or impossible, which, a lot of times it's not. Um, so if you're looking to fitness related stuff that is kind of hard for you to, you know, um, understand, and you need some motivation there. I mean, I've got some people that I kind of follow on Instagram that have a lot of motivational types of, like Momo Muscle. I think their name is Momo Muscle. There's another person, Jay Killam. I talk about these people maybe often, but Jay Killam is spelled JKIILLEM. If you just look up that word, so Jay Killam's name is Jess. I follow so much of her content. She's a very masculine presenting female, creative soul who's mostly based in LA, but not. I don't think she's from there, but she's been there for and established there for quite a long time now. And she has a lot of cool, like you can see her working out sometimes. um I think her workouts are like 1 or more hours, like five, I think she said like 6 or so days a week. And she eats pretty healthy too, and she's a trainer. And I've never looked up her training details. There's also a gay male, his name is Davey Wavy. I think he used to have Davey Wavy Fitness, but I don't know. Now he's more into Himeros, which is his adult content web web website. So yeah, I would say those those people, they all have a lot of cool fitness stuff. They're kind of more on the queer end of life, and they kind of understand maybe a lot of things that other people might not understand, because there is body image is an important thing, and it comes from more than just how you look. I mean, it's how you feel, because you may look a way that society does or does not expect of you and still feel totally comfortable, or you may look a way that society, or or vice versa, so you might look a way that society would potentially accept, but you don't accept yourself. Or you might look a way that um that what would be the opposite? Sorry, I'm blanking. The opposite would be, looking a way that society potentially doesn't accept, but you still love yourself the way you look and you're comfortable. So the closer you can get to healthy, comfortable look, um, the closer you can get to yourself being healthy and comfortable with the way that you look. Um, yeah, that might be just something to play with those ideas and sit down and think, like maybe I do have a lot of stomach fat, maybe I do have a bit of a butt, but I do like this pair of shorts, or I do like this, kind of tank top style. And sometimes it might come down to funds, to money. Again, thrift stores, they might take a little bit of, it might be a bit time consuming, to go shopping around in there, but you might have some options that you can afford more, hand-me-downs and stuff like that. Especially during the pandemic, during the Rona, we've had a lot of freer services, and so if you look around for, some food bank services even offer like hygiene support and like maybe a few pieces of clothing. There's some people who might have needs for clothing. You might be able to find something just out there for free. Nowadays, that's much more common, fortunately and unfortunately. It's unfortunate that there's a need for it more now, but it's fortunate that it's available. So if you really can't afford anything, I mean, there are some options that you can look and just see if you can maybe get something that you're comfortable in for free, or very, very low priced, or, cheap off the internet. You might have to wait for something to ship from another country, but those are some options. So not only, is it about clothes or your body image and things like that, but, the fit of how your clothes are, the way your clothes fit, and the way the clothing presents itself. So, for example, I have an event coming up that I want to attend with some friends, and one of my friends who's planning with another person who's trying to like reserve the table, get a reservation and everything. It's kind of like it's a queer female event, but it's kind of a dress up event, and I'm like, okay, well, it's queer, so I can wear what I want, so that's cool. So I know about the people who are putting on, like, hosting this event, so I'm like, I know that they're like masculine presenting, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that are masculine presenting. They've had pictures of this, little video clips and pictures of this event before, where you can see other people and how they kind of dressed. So there's like people that are quite females, people that are quite masculine females, and they didn't really specify female, like if they mean like trans or non-binary. They didn't really specify, they just said female, women only. I don't remember if it was women with like an X, but it was like women only, like WOMXN. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look at the flyer again, but the reason why I mention that is because yeah, it's a very, I gotta roll down my windows, guys, before I melt in here. It's a very available type of event to look at, but at the same time, it's like, okay, now I gotta find something to wear that I'm comfortable with, but I don't have to worry about the social norms there. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is, you might consider finding events in social gatherings and social environments where, if if the norms, don't come to you, you can go to the norms, right? So in certain social spaces, it's more acceptable. You're less likely to get ridiculed or stared at in a way where people think you look odd or think that you're not following the rules. So people might look at you strange, maybe if you know, I just hate saying it's hard for me to talk about because I'm just like, dude, like, it's something that comes up for me a lot too. So you know, but it's for real. You know, like sometimes you might want to go to like a dressier event, but you're just like I might get rejected at the door, so let me not come in like chinos and a button down, you know, because I'm gonna be expected to wear a skirt and heels, and I'm clearly not gonna do that. So it's a no go, right? But if you go to events or start looking for and scheduling in areas, or even if you can even save a bit to travel, you know, to events like in LA and San Francisco and New York and different areas of the world where there are more people that are like you, where you can kind of mingle and, you know, safely, again, always safely, but you can kind of get to know people and get to have experiences where there are other people like you. Even just one or two events in a year, in all honesty, can be life changing. I can't even stress that enough. Like, I mean, just I read this on someone else's um, Instagram. The person goes by she does him, and this person, I believe they're non-binary, kind of like a model or something along those lines, and they said that it's something along the lines of that it's therapeutic just being around like queer spaces, therapeutic just being around, you know, spaces where you can kind of be yourself. And that's so true. Like, it feels so much more refreshing. And, you know, a lot of us wait till this time of year, till Pride season, till there's more available for us to like go to, where it's like finally I can dress how I want. Finally, like for like a week or a month or a day, I can kind of just like be myself, do me, not have to worry and even think about all these little things that we spend so much time thinking on, which is for real. And that's the thing that kind of floors me. That's like, yeah, a lot of us spend a lot of time thinking about a lot of this stuff. Um, like, I've talked before about how, you know, how much anxiety I had going to one of my friends' weddings. I was just like, oh my gosh, what do I wear? You know, it's like, but yeah, like just thinking about it in that way, you know, like that there are events you can go to, more so during June, or whenever your city's Pride Festival is, that would likely be local for you. Even if you're not queer with your sexuality, you know, you might be queer with your gender, or just non-conforming with your gender to some extent, whatever extent that may be, or just a comfort level in general. Even if you don't call it that, that's fine too. But yeah, that's something that I would say. You know, I would recommend people to do that. You know, I'm not giving like professional recommendations, but just, you know, um, just, you know, things to look into. That would definitely be one of them. Other things to look into would be, you know, clothing options. So something I found that I thought was cool that I never actually invested in yet, but I was like, you know, lately, and maybe this is TMI, but lately I've been really kind of strolling around town, like no bra kind of situation. I've been kind of liking like tank tops more. So just putting on like a tank top and then maybe a shirt over. And like I said, I don't really go to too many places, so I haven't been like going, like I don't do it when I go out, like for real go out, but if I'm just like running errands or something, like going to the gas station real quick or something, I've been kind of playing with it. Just not wearing a lot, you know, of like undergarment related things. Just because I hate them. You know, I hate bras. They suck. They're uncomfortable. Um, the only ones I can kind of stand to wear. Um, I don't know, but give me a minute. We're on hold here. Pausing for the pedestrians. Mm, sorry. Alright. Still pausing. Give me a few seconds. Name me a few. All right, so yeah, like I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted. Um, yeah, like bras aren't one of my all-time favorite things. They're not something I like or enjoy or care for. I just wear them because, you know, it's expected of me. Um, I even remember when I was first, kind of maybe introduced to them. I think I was in like, shoot, I don't know, like seventh grade or eighth grade or no, I was in like sixth grade. I remember being in sixth grade and my mom's like, you need to wear this. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to. And she got me like two or three of them. They were like, I remember they were like double A cups or something. They weren't even, there was nothing really even to it. And, I was pretty athletic as a kid too. So, um, I kind of wasn't very shapely until like I want to say till maybe at most maybe my senior year of high school, because that was the first year when I stopped having like daily exercise routines. So that may have been the first time when I started gaining any weight that I remember, because I wasn't running a mile every day for PE and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't playing. Well, I was kind of playing sports on Sundays, but it was mostly just Sundays I'd play sports. And then in college, I got less and less active through grad school, and then so pretty much I'd say from my senior year of high school on, that's when I started getting more fatty, I guess, because I hadn't been like working out, exercising, and then when I got to college, I started eating really unhealthy because it was kind of more up to me, and I was always rushing around and didn't really know how to balance cooking and all that kind of stuff. So I started gaining more weight, and for that reason became more, had more breast development showing, and more hips, and more butt, and more everything, more prominent female shape looking. And other people liked it, but I hated it. I was like, this sucks. I was not into it. I was like, dude, this is not what I'm going for. I'm not trying to like have all this going on. So yeah, I remember like bra sizes were changing after that, but I hated wearing bras. I mean, I remember I had one. Yeah, my mom first got them for me in like fifth or sixth grade, and would just tell me every single day, you gotta wear this, you gotta wear this, you gotta wear this, you gotta wear this, and I would like never wear it. And then I remember like I was gonna start PE where I'd be having to change in the locker room starting in seventh grade. And so I was like, shoot, I'm gonna have to like conform, because I can't be just like walking around like with no bra on, in a locker room full of like ultra conservative like Christian females. Like they're not gonna, that it was already weird for them that the showers had no curtains and nobody used it, because people were already so like ashamed of their bodies and everything, like taught to be ashamed and like express that it was better to be ashamed and be ashamed of yourself. um but there was that kind of like, you don't want to be like, there's nothing wrong with changing in the stalls, like in the toilet stalls, but like, sometimes when I wasn't feeling too comfortable with it, I'd change in the toilet stalls. I think most of seventh grade I did that. And then eighth grade, like these are things I was like pressuring myself to do. So seventh grade, I was like pressuring myself. I was like, well, I gotta wear a bra now because I'm gonna be in the locker room with other older females. Like it was grade 7 through 10, so I was like, well, there are gonna be a lot of older females there, and I don't want them like making fun of me because I'm like not wearing proper underwear or whatever. And then I remember like eighth grade, I think that was the year when I started changing like in the actual locker room, because I felt more like I needed to. And I kind of had a method of it, like I just like just slip into my shorts real quick out of like my we'd wear like kind of khakis. I gotta roll this up real quick, give me a second. But yeah, we'd wear kind of like khakis or like slacks, but they weren't like chinos. They were just like flat front kind of slacks. And then I'd change into shorts for PE, and then change back. So those were easy to just kind of change in and out. And then I'd have a shirt, and so I wouldn't remove my bra. I'd just keep the same bra. I mostly wore sports bras anyways. And what I would do is I would put it, I would basically take off my shirt to the point where, I'd take out my arms and just have the rest of my shirt kind of near my neck. And then I'd kind of put the new shirt, which was my PE shirt, I'd put it for like the physical education class. I'd put it on my arms while the other one was off my arms. Then I'd kind of take off the old shirt, the uniform shirt, and then I'd put on, I'd fully put on the rest of the shirt. So I was never fully like unclothed because I wasn't like too comfortable like take off all your clothes first and then put on all your clothes. So that kind of thing. And so I remember, taking things off and then putting things on, and there was like an order to it. And then same with like, 8th grade, I started changing in the locker rooms with the others. And then I did that 9th grade, 10th grade. I remember I used to wear boxer shorts a lot too, and I remember once, I had these boxer shorts on, and the front was just like Winnie the Pooh. But then I remember one of my the church youth pastor's daughter, she was just like, you have, like, the way she said it, like, you're wearing poo underwear, like, the way she said it was like, okay, God, you don't have to say it like that, like, because it sounds disgusting, like poop, but it was like, she was referring to Winnie the Pooh, but the way she said it made it sound kind of like weird. So I was like, we went out to PE with everybody else, and she was like, like, Grace has poo underwear on. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, why would you even say it like that? Like, weird stuff like that would happen, and I would just be like, seriously? Like, you never seen, like, a pair of boxers before? Like, but yeah, they were kind of like those nighttime sleep boxers, but I used to like wearing them because I felt like, cool, these are boxers, and, like, like, my folks let me buy them because they were supposed to be for, like, bed. And I remember the first time one of my friends had boxers on, like, way back when I used to love TLC, like, when Waterfalls came out and stuff, and that's how old I am. I was kind of like a teen then, or preteen, I can't remember how old I was, but it was a long time ago. I think it was back when, like, Brazil was hosting the World Cup or something, and then whatever. It was near that time. But I remember one of my friends who would visit in our area, visit her folks, visit her family for vacations. She was kind of like cooler with like her style, and I remember she had these like boxers that she used to wear and kind of like baggier jeans. And it was back when like super baggy jeans were in, and I was just like, dude, like, that's so cool. Like, I wish that my parents would buy me those boxers. They were like guys, like flannel boxers, and she was like, check them out, and I'm like, yes, like, I want those. But my folks were clearly not gonna do it, so I settled for nighttime boxers, which were supposed to be like pajamas, but I was like, well, I'm just gonna wear them in the daytime because I wanted boxers. So that, they weren't like comfortable physically, they weren't comfortable, but it was more of an emotional comfort, I'd put it that way, if that makes sense. Like, I was more comfortable wearing those than like a lace panty or something. That was more comfortable for me. Even if there could have been potential like ridicule involved, that was more comfortable for me. And I wore those things out to the point where the elastic was like so like loose that like they wouldn't even stay. Like, if it would have been possible to put a belt on over them, I would have needed a belt to kind of keep them up. Because like I'm saying, like, back then I wasn't like very shapely, so I had no hips, and then like they kind of just, the elastic kind of wore out. They were cheap from like JC Penney's or something. But yeah, that's something I remember. And but like, because even when I'm looking back, I'm like, okay, things like bras, other kind of like lower underwear, socks, just like accessories in general, there were some things that I was like, I can get away with this, nobody's gonna say anything. And because I played sports, there was a lot I could kind of get away with. Because back then, there wasn't a lot of like female like attire for like um for like sneakers or socks or like athletic gear or like, like stuff like that. Like there wasn't like girls baseball pants and like girls soccer short. Like there were, but it wasn't like now how there's like a variety. Like there was a very slim picking. There weren't really a lot in the sports sections for women, and my dad would always take me and my brother shopping because we were in a sports league. So every new sports season, if we needed something upgraded, he would kind of upgrade our sports attire, and we always kind of shop like baseball gloves, baseball pants, the socks, the, if you need like some, belts for baseball, if you needed like hats, gloves, like I remember my brother once got this really super cool like pitching. It was for pitching. It was a specific ball that had the different grips, or like the different finger hold color coordinated, so that you could get the proper grips so that you could pitch correctly. Um, and then so there's that. There was also man, I wish these people would go away. I'm like melting in this car. There was also like mostly cleats, like for soccer, and like basketball shoes. Almost all the basketball shoes I ever purchased, from what I recall, were always male sizes, male shoes, male brands. By I used to. There was a point where I would get like $120 shoes, like the Gary Paytons back then, and like I was kind of a sneakerhead during basketball season because I used to love like basketball sneakers, and then kind of translated into um, sneakers for like skate shoes, and so yeah, just that kind of thing. Really, I mean, I was almost like I wasn't lucky because there weren't a lot of different shaped things that I could wear or buy. But there were ways that I could get away with it. Like I mentioned, it's like if I buy like a PJs for like boxers, or if I buy guys sports attire, and then I didn't only wear it when I was playing the sports. Like sometimes I'd be like going out with my friends and I'd wear like my guys basketball shorts or something, and it's like nobody really said anything. Well, they did, but it was like, whatever. Like, and my folks had bought it for me, so yeah. So another thing to really kind of try to keep in mind is that, one difficulty is when you're younger, a lot of times it rolls down before it melts. Like, when you're a younger person, you're not as independent. You might not have the funds to just buy what you want. You might not have the freedom to really wear what you want. And so this can become really challenging because you don't have the money. And even if you did have the money, your folks might not let you do it, or your guardians, or whoever you live with, or wherever you're forced to go to school at or socialize at, wherever culturally you're living at, you might not have a lot of freedom if you don't have your own money, and so that to me was always a big motivation to do good on that financial end, to have money, to have the freedom to live where I want, to do what I want, to wear what I want. That was a big driving force for me in education, a big driving force for me in job selection, a big driving force for me, to be able to live in a place, in a city that's not too rigid, that's quite open-minded and only getting more so open-minded, that I can see changes happening right before my eyes, in my workplace, the conversations that we even have about I even mentioned to one of my coworkers once, oh, how come as a female, I can wear shorts. I can wear, as the dress code, I don't have to wear, I can't wear. Sorry, let me start over. As a female, that's part of the dress code. I don't have to wear I don't have to wear pants. I mean, I don't have to wear a dress. I can wear pants, or I can wear a dress, but I can't, or a skirt, but I can't wear shorts, because shorts weren't part of our dress code. And then one of my, cis male coworkers that's a good friend of mine, he was like, yeah, that's not fair. And I was like, yeah, it's not fair. But it's like, we have conversations like that about like dress code and stuff. And I noticed like they kind of let me just wear what I wanted. They're like, you're not allowed to wear sneakers, but Grace kind of just wears sneakers, like, because I wasn't going to wear like female dress shoes. And I wasn't going to wear guys' dress shoes either. So I kind of wore like nicer sneakers. Like Tevas, or like, so a nice like hiking boot kind of thing. Like, they were clean. They weren't like, I wouldn't wear like Jordans or anything to work. I don't have them, but I mean, I wouldn't wear like Jordans, but they were kind of like a nicer sneaker, like a sneaker that could kind of fit like in a work place environment without it sticking out to look too sporty. And other than when I got these bright pink Fila sneakers. I got these bright pink Fila sneakers when Sports Authority was going out of business. In one area, it was going out of business near where I was living, and I got these bright pink sneakers for like $16 or something. They were Fila's, and I remember like my boss was like, yeah, like sometimes, because we would just have to walk to her office to consult, and I remember her mentioning like, oh yeah, I sometimes see you with your like bright pink sneakers. And it was funny because like that was the most, they were like hot pink, like bright only pink with a little bit of like white and black for like the logo and stuff. And like, I'd mostly be wearing like masculine presenting clothing with total like bright hot pink sneakers. So it was just kind of like a fun contrast that I liked. And I always liked playing with stuff like that, but it was just like stuff like that where it's like, I know they saw it, I know they noticed, but like they kind of just let it go. But also, I don't work in a place where I have to wear business, like full on business suits and attire, and for a reason, because I don't want to. And so I don't want to be forced to wear a dress or pantyhose or skirts or a tie. Like those are very gendered things where it's like, I don't want to wear a tie and I don't want to wear pantyhose. Like, I don't want to wear any of it. So what do I do? So there's all of that. And then but the lesson I kind of learned from that really was, do what I can to have as much freedom as I possibly can, so that maybe I won't get the freedom right then when I was younger, but the ways I did get it were finding ways that, my parents would find this acceptable if I bought it. And then my, other people in the community would be like, oh, okay, like you can wear that because you play basketball. So, like, what are they going to say? Like, and so, there were some things I kind of got away with in those, to that extent. But I'm not saying that, I wasn't getting people telling me like every other chance they got, to you wear something different, wear this, that's not for girls, you look like a boy, blah, 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 like all that kind of stuff. Like, I got that like all the time. People would just say that kind of stuff till they were like blue in the face. And I'm just sitting there like, really? Like, are you seriously, gonna keep on? And I remember when my mom would like always buy me like these girly clothes for like Christmas and stuff. And like, there was like once, I think, where my sister was like helping my mom shop, and I got like some sweaters or something that I kind of liked. Like, I liked them more than the stuff that I had usually gotten. And then my mom mentioned like, yeah, your sister, I was trying to buy you this other thing, but your sister was like, she's not gonna wear that. And I was like, thank you, Lizzie. Thank you so much to my sister, who kind of just gets it. It's like, you get it that I'm not gonna wear that, so just leave it alone. But yeah, I think that kind of helped sway, my parents purchasing me things that I wasn't going to wear. It's like, if you really want to not waste your money, don't get me stuff that you think you want me to look good in. Just buy me stuff I'm actually going to use and I'll wear it. But, my mom still has never bought me like anything too masculine presenting, but she's kind of gone more towards like in the middle ground. So she'll buy me sweats that are like a little looser, but they're still like from the female section. Or she'll buy me, stuff that's kind of like, like t-shirts, or like classic cut t-shirts, or like, stuff like that. She'll just like get me stuff that's like a little less, it's dull. There's no like fun to it. It's not like nice looking, but it's a lot of stuff you can kind of lounge around the house in. So I'm like, okay, mom, thanks. Like it's better than the weird, lacy, tight things that she used to get me. So I'm like, at least, that's some effort. But like I mentioned before, there was a time when my folks, pretty recently in the last few years, my mom kind of was, I guess, asked to have a conversation with me before going to a wedding about what I was going to wear, and she was kind of screening it, and then ended up actually buying me another dress because she thought that the one I sent her a picture of wasn't going to be nice enough looking. And so she went and bought me another dress. And all I can really say to that kind of thing is fuck that. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's like, sorry that I'm not the way you want me to be. But sorry, not sorry. I'm not sorry about it, actually. And, I mentioned before too, one of my cousins even was like, "Oh, I thought you'd wear a suit." And it's like, yeah, well, my mom, my parents are like involved in this attire that I'm wearing here. It's like, clearly this was not my decision. And some people complimented me on it, but I was just like, this is stupid. Like, I'm clearly just doing this because you guys feel embarrassed about the way I am. That's why I'm doing this. And I'm pretty sure that, like, it was either my dad or my mom, but I'm pretty sure that, or maybe both of them kind of had this idea that, like, if I'm coming, I need to wear this thing. It's like, fine, I get it. I have a really traditional international family, so I get it. I still think it's stupid, but I get it. Um, I get that they can't wrap their heads around people being different. I get that. I get that they can't accept it. I get that they're not at a place where it's okay for their kids to stick out in any way or express themselves the way that they genuinely think they are, and they think it's not okay, or maybe it poorly reflects on them in some manner. I get these things. This is something I truly do understand. I don't believe it. I don't adhere to it. I'm trying to be respectful of it. But again, like, I was able to, do good enough in school somehow that I was able to stumble my way into a job site that now these problems don't come up. I can buy what I want to buy, wear what I want to wear, look the way I want to look. I can wear button ups to work and chinos, and I can wear whatever I want. Nobody says anything other than nice, kind things. Um, I mean, yeah. And give me a minute. But yeah, nobody says anything other than kind of nice, kind things now. But yeah, it's been a struggle, guys. It's been a struggle for me, just like it is, I'm sure, for people tuning into this podcast. That's probably why people tune in here. Um, but so I went off on the tangent to a point that I did not think I would. But the reason why I started mentioning bras and things in the first place was because there's this kind of like, I don't know if it's considered an athletic tape or like a tape of some sort. Let me look it up. It's like a binding tape of some sort. Um, Let me see. I don't even know the name of it, so I'm trying to like look up what it's called. There are binders. I've never worn that. Um, so nah, this isn't really what I'm looking for. It's because I looked up breast binding tape. That's not the right thing. Maybe it's more like this one. This one's just called boob tape. So it's like you can tape it in a way that you're not. So it's maybe less restricted than a binder itself, but it's like You can use it to kind of tape things down so they're not like jiggling all over. Um, so there's a type where you can get like, so it covers like the nipple region. That's mostly, I think, other than nipples and bouncing types of things, I think those are the two main areas why people wear bras in the first place. So if you're able to just freely walk around and then, you don't have um, any kind of restriction, um, like any kind of like, um, I don't know how to phrase things, guys. Like non culturally accepted revealing, of certain parts of your body. So usually, if you have like a um a what would you call it? Sorry guys, it's at that time of day where my head is just like almost done completely. Um, if you have a um yeah, so I think, so basically, let me start over. So binders are kind of more um restricting because it covers more than just the breast area. Like it's gonna go over your shoulders usually, unless you get like a just like the torso type. And then it goes down to like the middle of your stomach at least, if not all the way down to like almost your waist. Um, it's almost like a really tight tank top, if you will, or cut off t-shirt, but really tight. Um, some tips for that kind of thing. You don't want to wear it overnight. You don't want to wear it all the time. Um, because it's not necessarily good for your bone structure, but I get why people wear it, because it helps you look the way physically you want to look. And so if you're not really into the binders themselves, you might want to try different types of like boob tape, breast tape types of tapes that you could use that at least cover like nipples and things like that. Um, and or you can just wear a tank top most times, unless it's cold or unless you're like running. It's usually not gonna, you're not really gonna have a lot of nipple revealing happening. I will mention a tip. If you don't want perky nipples showing up, you might consider the type of texture of shirt you wear. So if you wear, like, for example, like I have like this Mexico jersey. It's like a classic Climate Cool long sleeve jersey I got as a gift. One of my favorite shirts ever. And it's a Climate Cool jersey, and it's long sleeve, but it's very silky. And some reason, when you wear shirts like that, especially if you have a tank top under, there's kind of this amount of friction that's your shirt on top rubbing on top of a tank top underneath. And for some people, that can lead to harder nipples. That's just a thing that happens. Just nature does its thing. um I learned this from some cis male friends of mine when we used to play around in younger years and purchase for one another kind of like underwear and things, um, sexy calendars and like of like, I don't know, Chippendales calendars and like boxers and sex toys and condoms and stuff. We used to buy this kind of stuff for each other when we were like, I don't know, college, maybe early college, late high school age kind of stuff. We get it for each other for Christmas gifts, kind of like gag gifts, because like we all came from really conservative families, so it was kind of funny, like, oh yeah, you're gonna open this in front of your parents. But we kind of always just laugh about it because it was like, whatever, you can get away with it. It's kind of like a fun way to like express things in a sexual way that, like, clearly our parents weren't open to that kind of stuff, but like we kind of talked about it a little amongst our friends groups and stuff. And like, we would just kind of do that kind of stuff just because we could get away with it. We're like, well, I can get away with giving you this, and like going into us to like the little sexy calendar section and looking at these new calendars for the new year and like get you one, and like your parents probably won't say anything, you know what I mean? It's like okay, but yeah, that kind of thing was kind of fun for us. So I remember, I remember I didn't used to get them, but I got this guy friend of mine these boxer shorts, and I think he tried them on, and I was gonna get some for my other friend, and he was just like, I would never wear those, and I was just like, because I don't remember if I was asking him. I was just like, why don't, because I saw like in the, I was just like, yeah, because I hung out with guys a lot, and I kind of noticed kind of like the underwear they had and stuff, and I was, in my day and age, most guys wore like loose fitting boxers. That was kind of what they wore. It was kind of considered maybe more masculine and appropriate for that age group in my teens and late, like into my 20s. That was kind of more appropriate for them to not feel like emasculinated if their friends saw them wearing like some tight fitting underwear of some sort. Nowadays, I think it's more of a style too to wear like boxer briefs and something more fitting and a little more attractive than like the loose baggy boxers, I've noticed. But back then, people did wear those looser, baggier boxers, and it was just funny. I asked my guy friend, I was just like, dude, like I see all these boxers like in the in the guy sections, because I would like shop in the guy sections and like department stores mostly, because my folks would get me like Sears gift cards and things for Christmas. So I remember like going, and I would be like, yeah, I never see you guys wear like, why don't any of you guys wear these like silky boxers? Because to me, I was like, they're cool looking, they look nice, I like the way they looked. And then my friend kind of made a point. He's like, yeah, like if you have like soft things rubbing up against other things, it was kind of like, try to avoid an erection, try to avoid a boner kind of situation. Um, and I never thought about it until you mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, you're right. So I kind of got it then. So it's kind of almost the same thing. If you're going to wear like jerseys or some kind of like silkier tops, you might get that same kind of issue happening. I mean, it's not an issue. It's just something to be aware of, because you might not be looking down like at your nipples on a regular basis. Just like you might not be trying to see the side of your collar and things like there's certain parts of your body where you kind of don't really just like look at them closely. Sometimes you might not look at them too closely, and might just walk out of the house, and then other people will notice it right away. So something that's common, or like your collar, the back of your collar, if you have a collared shirt, it might not be, in good order or kind of like neatly, put down. If you have like something that's more nipple revealing because of, perkier nipples, you might not notice it because you might not just look at them. Clothing that might be too thin, that you can maybe see through it. So if you're dark skinned, rule of thumb is if you're wearing something very light in color, like a white pair of jeans, you might want to wear black or brown underwear, because it likely won't show through. If you're lighter tone skin, you'll probably wear like more of a nude color. Just some tips like that. You know, people looking through your shirts and stuff. You might not care, and there's no real issue with it. But I mean, if you're already trying to just be comfortable and not draw attention to yourself, those are just things that kind of like just take a gander in the mirror real quick before you leave your house, and look things through all the way and make sure that you're kind of not gonna feel too embarrassed out in public if people start, oh, I can see your nipples, or oh, I can, your collar's messed up, or oh, like I can see through your shirt, or like whatever. Like, that's the last thing you need when you're just trying to feel comfortable. So just putting it out there. But if you find things that you feel comfortable in, it's gonna be great for you. It's gonna work wonders. A lot of it's the aesthetics as well as your own mental. So, thanks for listening, guys.